Hello, my name is Gilbert, and this is my coming out story. This is something that I've been wanting to do for some time now. One of the things that was so instrumental with me and helping me come to terms with my own sexuality was watching videos on YouTube. And I came out so late in life at 32, um, and I think that this is an opportunity for me to maybe say something and give something back to help other people maybe in similar circumstances. And I think in order to begin to tell that story, I needed to talk about where I come from. At the time, I lived in Seattle the majority of my adult life, but I was born and raised in Eastern Washington. And the majority of that time was in a small town called Moses Lake, which is a very agricultural and at the time industrial. So there wasn't a lot of, I didn't get a lot of experience seeing different cultures or different people. There was a lot of brown people and there was a lot of white people. There wasn't really anything else in between at the time. And, I come from a pretty small Latino family. I have my older brother who's 5 years older than I am, and then, of course, my mother and my father. My dad was a Marine in the 70s, and both our parents taught me and my brother how to work hard, and I'm very, very grateful for that. My extended Latino family is pretty large. Like my dad's 9 brothers and sisters. He's the oldest. And religious. My grandmother has a name on the pew that she's there every Sunday, and I have an aunt that's a Mother Superior in the Catholic Church. And I'm very proud of where I come from, and my family. I'm very proud of that. I didn't really know that I was gay until I was 25 is when I kind of figured it out. And the most important thing that I can say in this video is it's not a choice. I know I was born this way. Although I didn't identify with it or, understand that I was gay, quite frankly, until I was older, I know that I was born this way. And I think it was mainly because I wasn't exposed to a lot of different things. There was no gay people in Moses Lake that were out that I knew of. And I didn't, my own ignorant, preconceived ideas of what it was meant to be gay was, I talk like this and I like sports. I might not be good at them, but I like sports. And I'm a guy, and I didn't know that I was gay. And I remember, I think I was 25 when I figured it out, and it scared me. And I was watching a video. No, not that kind of video. It was a movie about a young Mormon kid on his mission and him coming to terms with his sexuality. And I could identify with some of the stuff that was going on in the movie, and it scared me. It frightened me. And I think before I go into my coming out story, I think I have to talk about for a second the impact of words and how they're used. And again, I'm very proud of my family. I love my family very much. But some of the things I heard and saw and were exposed to growing up weren't exactly, and I'm mainly speaking of some of the stuff my father said, weren't exactly socially acceptable. And I heard them so frequently and so often that I almost came desensitized to the impact of those words and how they're used. And I'm not proud of this, but I use those same words and terms. And I don't think it came to a head until I was around 22. And I'm at a party with some friends, and I used the N-word in front of my cousin, who I'm very close with, by the way. And he's just starting to see this awesome girl who's multiracial. And he turned around and he looked at me, and he pierced right through me. And it wasn't anger. It was disgust. It was shock. And it hit me. I felt so small. I wanted to curl up in a little ball, and I was embarrassed. I didn't know what I was feeling. I just knew that I saw that emotional reaction to a word I used, and I never wanted to put myself in that situation again. And I fast forward to this is just before I came out. I heard the term faggot, and that same emotional reaction. The back of my hair stood up, and I'd like to think I'm not a violent person, but I wanted to deck the guy, and I could begin to appreciate the impact of how some words are used and how some things should just never be said. And, you know, I got to admit, I hear the younger generation say, oh, that's gay or that's queer. And it's like, guys, there are better ways to express yourself. And I have learned, and I'm continuing to learn, that there are better ways to do that. And I try not to do that. I try not to use those words. And there are some that pierce more than others. And, you know, I just know that there's a better way to express myself. So, like I said, I figured out that I was gay around when I was 25, and it scared me. And I'm so embarrassed to say this, but I literally thought killing myself was a better way out of the situation that I found myself in. I didn't know how my family was going to react. I was ashamed of who I was. You know, I play sports. I'm a guy. How could I be gay? Kind of thing. And it was one of those things where I was in a dark place for a long time, and there was a lot of soul searching, and there was a lot of coming to terms with who I am. And, you know, like I said, videos on YouTube helped tremendously, hearing people's stories and struggles and realizing that it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? This is not the one thing that defines you as a person. And, you know, when you are in the closet, you kind of have blinders on. You can't see the world around you and realize that this is one small part of who you are, although it's important and it is something that you should embrace and be proud of. It's not something that defines you. You know, it's not. I'm. You know, yes, I'm a gay man, but I'm several other things that define me. So it was a long process. And to those people that are in the closet now, know that it will get easier and it will get better. And I know that's cheesy and you hear that all the time, but it's so true. And you can't begin to love yourself and to love somebody else until you know you love yourself. So don't waste so much time. And you know, when I did finally come out when I was 32, I knew for some time that I was going to. I knew for about 6 months to a year that, okay, I got to say something. This is just, it's driving me nuts. And at the time I was doing a lot of traveling for work, and my oldest nephew was graduating high school, and I knew that because I wasn't sure how some of my family was going to react, and mainly my dad, I wanted to make sure that I said something sooner rather than later, so that there was time, so that I didn't want to make it awkward at my nephew's graduation. So I knew I couldn't say it at Christmas, you know, hey, I'm gay. I just didn't think that would be the right place. So I did it early the following year, and I think it was April. No, it was March. I can't remember, but it was early that year. And I drove out to my mom. My parents are divorced, so I drove out to my mom. I saw her in Wenatchee, and she acted like a mom should. She was nothing but loving, supporting, and we both cried our eyes out, and I love her for that. She's trying to get me dates all the time. She's awesome, and I'm very proud that she's my mom. I drove down to see my brother and his wife, Christina, and I talked to them one-on-one. And I still remember my brother's face. It was like, what? And to kind of give you an idea of my personality, I talk crap. I joke around. That's how I communicate. That's how I express myself. And I'm not doing that here for obvious reasons. But, you know, he looked at me like, what are you messing with me for? What's really going on? I'm like, no, bro, I'm gay. And, you know, he kind of looked at me kind of funny, and he asked me a few questions, and I awkwardly answered them the best I could. The bottom line is we embraced, and he said he loved me, and it was no big deal. And Christina, his wife, did the same thing, and they were awesome. But we both kind of made that same, you know, that we both kind of made eye contact. We said, okay, how are you going to talk to Dad? And I got to admit, like I said, I'm an emotional guy. But with my dad, I had to put myself into a place to where I thought that I would never have. There's a good chance that I might not ever talk to him again after this. I'm like, well, I don't know. I was planning to drive over there, and he's like, well, do you want me to go with you, or should we invite him over here? And I was like, you know what, man, that's a good idea. Let's invite him over here. And we watched a movie, and we sat around the dinner table, and I made eye contact with him, and I said, Dad, I'm going to say something that you might not understand, but I'm gay. And I remember him making eye contact with me, and I remember him, I can only assume he's processing what I just said, and his eyes kind of, he's just processing what I said, and he said that he loved me, and he said, "Hey, Mijo, there's nothing that's going to change that," and we embraced, and it was a very positive experience, and I didn't know how it was going to go, and although I'm proud of that day because it was an emotional dump. Let's just put it that way, man. Coming out to your loved ones, and then I chose to talk to my immediate family first. It was. I'm proud that I did it, but I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. It's not easy. It's not easy to do. Although I wish I did it a lot sooner, but I'm glad with the result. And I got to tell you, my extended family, my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, they've all been positive. There has not been a negative response. My mom and my dad both talked to their extended families, and then I drove home and I talked to my circle of close friends, and it was all very positive. And then the last thing I chose to do, just because I didn't want to have that face-to-face conversation with everybody, is I posted on Facebook. And all I can tell you is that it will get easier and it will get better. And I think just like as us adults mature into a career path, as far as your profession, me being an openly gay man is something that I'm getting more and more comfortable with every day, and getting more and more comfortable with my own skin, so to speak. So it was important for me to say something, and it was important for me. The more open and honest we are about who we are as a community, an LGBT community, the more I think we're going to be accepted by those around us and understand that we're just like everybody else. I speak like this, but that doesn't mean that I can't be gay. You know what I mean? And it's so naive to say that now, but that's where I came from. Is I didn't think that was possible. So I really hope that this helps you. And that is my story, and it's something that I think, God willing, or you're going to see. I don't think my story is going to be the norm. I really think that this country is moving in such a positive direction now, and there's a real chance for real equality, and we just got to tell everybody who we are, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this, is I feel that I'm in a place now where I can do that. And hold your head up high, be proud of who you are. Okay. Thank you. Take care.